Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday, October the 13th, 2015, and this is our Zoom call, and I'm thrilled to give you a playback from what happened in Sundance. Like I say, we're not going to share everything on this call. Like I say, as Dr. A says, sometimes if we give too much information, talked about a big car, a fast-moving, powerful car that he gave his 16-year-old daughter and who hit things, because it was too much power at one time. But like I say, Sundance is a leadership training program. Much of it's experiential, and I do believe that everybody, when they step into the role as a health coach, is a leader. So I'm going to share some things, and on the training this Saturday in Atlanta, I want to go through some of the exercises, and if they work well or if I get good feedback on it, then we'll do it. I'll figure out a way to do it Zoom with our whole team. And so I'd love feedback on tonight if you think, what you think about it. Because again, giving information is different than experiencing something. So I'm going to try and just right now give you an overall view of what went on and some of the new things that are coming down the road. I thought this was so incredible that the company, as you know, has been working with a branding expert. And this woman was just really incredible. It is her mission to elevate the meaning and purpose of a brand. And so we talked a little bit about the difference between branding and marketing and what the difference is. And so I'm going to like I say, I made a little PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen. And I think you will all really like some of the things that she shared with us and like where we're heading as a company. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. What do I push if I want to do the whole screen, right? Let's do that. No, that's not right, is it? Okay, can anyone see me yet? Oh. Do I have you guys? Someone unmute themselves and tell me.
Yes, I can see it. And okay.
You can see me?
And it's green.
Perfect. Both. I can't see you guys. So, all right, great. So speak up if you have a question. All right, so I just took some notes just so y'all can see something. What she talked about, she works for a company, and her goal, like I say, is to have a brand mean something, be a living, breathing thing. It begins with the identity of who we are and why we do what we do. And so we did a lot of work on who we are, why we do what we do. Our point of view in the world. We have a message, and a really powerful brand is unapologetic. It can be a bit polarizing. If you notice, think about some brands that you know about or come to mind. They have a voice, something to say, and you may not like them. I think sometimes some of the political candidates and the shows, very polarizing. But a strong brand has a message, a real sense of mission and purpose. And like I say, she wants to humanize. Her goal for herself is to humanize a brand and have a brand do well for mankind, elevate the human condition. And so the brand becomes the guiding pulse of our business. It reflects our values. And again, the ultimate purpose is to serve humanity. So the question she asked us was, why does TSFL do what it does? And we gathered in groups and talked about that. If TSFL was a person, what kind of person would they be? And so again, not only with TSFL, we were asked these questions, but so much of what she was saying really resonated with me as a person and with us as coaches, because we're branding TSFL, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we're also branding ourselves as a coach, as a health coach. You know, what is it that we do? Why do we do what we do? And, you know, who are we as the kind of person we would be? Some people said it was uplifting. You know, just different adjectives described who we are, what kind of person we are. Who are we for? You know, and we all had different things. I know who I'm for. When I do what I do, I am for people that have struggled with dieting all their life. I mean, that is who I am for. I want that pain to stop. And I know that, you know, that's who I'm for. Other people, you know, there's physicians might be for something different, but who are we for? And I think you're going to find that what we came up with, you'll like. What are we best at? And again, we talked about, you know, and you as a person, what are you best at? And what do you stand for? So we looked at what Take Shape for Life was best at. And I always thought about, gosh, what am I best at? So this Helen Irwin's company is Full Potential Branding, and she only works with brands that transform and positively impact the world. So someone that just wants to shift a logo or a brand identity, she's not that interested in it, but she's really very clear that she wants a brand to be the force for good. And in that, if you think about it, it requires being successful. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about measuring success and profitability and how that ties into being a good brand. And the ultimate goal of a brand is to serve humanity. And she calls herself a brand therapist because she listens. She doesn't come in and create the brand. She comes in and listens to what the leaders we think we are. Who are we for? Who are we good? You know, who do we serve? What are we good at? What is our compelling reason for being? And who does that resonate with? And when we express our values, it is going to resonate with someone. So again, I was talking about strong brands. You know, again, they can be polarizing, unapologetic. Like she asked us, okay, so what are some brands that you might recognize? And, you know, one of them that I said was Starbucks, because that's a recognizable brand. Why do I like Starbucks? Well, I don't even like their coffee. But what I like about it is when I'm going to meet somebody there, I know what I can expect. I like that when I say Starbucks at a certain place, most people know where it is or can find it. So for me, ease is very important, and not having to explain directions or having someone get lost. I like to know where I'm going to go. And people like the buzz there. But then again, there was one woman that stood up. She doesn't like Starbucks at all. She doesn't like their coffee. It's expensive, and she doesn't like their politics. So again, they're very unapologetic. They want it to be the third home work, and have people stay there, and they do. So again, it reflects values and beliefs that resonate with a certain population. She gave an example of the Dove commercial. You know, Dove, most beauty products, it's like, okay, you know, we need to fix you. If you use our products, you're going to be more beautiful. And Dove came out with a real beauty campaign that you're already beautiful. And it was interesting. She showed a film where an artist you describe yourself. An artist is sitting behind a curtain, and this artist drew you by your description. And then a friend of yours, someone who just met you or studied you for a while, maybe y'all got to know each other for a couple of days, I forget. Someone else described you to this artist, and the side-by-side pictures were incredible. People saw themselves as, you know, uglier. They looked similar, but people saw themselves as uglier than the other person saw them. It was very, very incredible. Another example she used was some soap. You know, what is soap? How can you know, soap's a commodity. People change soap all the time. But this brand of soap that she worked with wanted to cure, you know, save lives by hygiene in third world countries. So again, it's how can your brand make a difference in the world? And when you resonate with a brand, you have a relationship with it, you understand it. She talked about she loves purses. She's in the airports a lot, so she's always looking for purses. She never really liked Gucci that much because, again, it was maybe a little more uppity, but she liked Alexander McQueen, which is another designer, a little more edgy. So it's when you think about what kind of brands, there's one of the coaches at the table, one of the globals, she loves Nine West shoes. Like, she knows whenever she gets a pair of Nine West shoes, it fits the same. She can depend on it. So thinking about what kind of brands can you depend on as we're creating our own brand. And, what we stand for, Ritz-Carlton, is ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. So again, there's a message, there's who we are. So what this process is that the brand is the boss now. And in creating this brand of Take Shape for Life, we are taking away personalities. So it's not necessarily Dr. Anderson or the leaders. It's Take Shape for Life. The brand is the boss. Let me just check this. All right. Y'all ready for it? Can we see it all? I don't know if we can see it. All right. Let's talk about, so basically our brand, can everyone, I bet we can't even see this, can we? All right, I'm going to read it to you. And
we can't see the whole screen, Susan.
Off to the side. Yeah. All right, I'm going to read it to you, and then I'll post it in Team Palace. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you. So basically after going through this with the leaders, they've been working on it for about 9 months, 6 to 9 months. And basically, we are agents of transformation. We know people are at their most fulfilled when they're pursuing what matters most to them in life. We understand that people can feel powerless in shaping their physical, mental, and financial well-being. In a world where the path to optimal health is littered with ineffective solutions and deception, which is why Take Shape for Life inspires and equips you to live optimal days through a philosophy and a proven system grounded in what works. Because we are enthusiastic about the potential we see in people, interested in the dreams they want to fulfill, purposeful in promoting optimal living, and magnetic because the results people achieve with us are simply extraordinary. So we are for people who are ready to take personal responsibility for their optimal health and life. So I am going to, if I could figure out how to unshare the screen for just a moment, because I want to, well, all right, I can't unshare my screen, so I can't see you. But would everyone, Molly, what do you think about the brand? Would y'all just chime in, and what do you think about this as who we are moving forward?
This is my favorite thing by far, what you just read.
Oh.
It brings such clarity. There's not anything about that I don't completely agree with.
Isn't it?
I like I really, really, really like the intention of creating or establishing the understanding, a global understanding of our brand, and disassociating it with people. And not because I don't think those people are worth associating with, but because it needs to live longer than people live.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to have the longevity. And people, and I don't mean that people are dying, I mean people tend to have change in their life, can move on, And you do not want that brand associated with a human being. You want it associated with the purpose. So I'm excited about that.
Exactly. So cool. Let's see if I can do something here. I don't think that helped at all. Hold on real quick. Exactly, Molly. Anybody else? Can y'all see that at all or no? That's probably worse, isn't it?
It's worse.
It's worse. Julie, what do you think? Are you on, Julie?
I really like the I can't see the very beginning, but I think it says inspires and equips you to live optimal days through a philosophy and proven system grounded in what works. And I think that's powerful because we know we've all experienced it. We have clients experiencing it, and I think that's really powerful right there.
Isn't that good? The way now, and her expertise was to listen for things, and they are masters at every word that she put matters. Like there were choices of words, and she told us why she used certain words and not other words. But everything was taken from who we know, and what we understand and what we stand for. And in the end, Cheryl, why don't you chime in here? What do you think? Can you unmute yourself?
That's what I'm trying to. I was having some difficulty.
Okay.
One of the things that really speaks to me in this, I love this, by the way. I agree with everybody else that's spoken. But one of the reasons I love it is because it takes each of us trying to work on our own and prove our validity as a health coach or as a, tell our story, et cetera, et cetera. It takes us to a different level, and we now are a business with an identity of its own and a vision that involves helping people and helping the world. And it speaks to a congruity among us that although it was supposed to be there before, it was hard to see it. So branding is helping us to be able to see that. And that's how business works today. This is very, very much like every successful business that is out there.
Yes, exactly. And let's see, I think Terry Moore, you're on there. I'm just trying to remember who's on there. So if I didn't call on you and you want to just chime in, but Terry, can you unmute?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you from an experience from the YMCA about 5 years ago. They hired a branding company and went through this whole, and as you know, the YMCA is all over the United States. It has an icon of its own. And they went through this branding, and I'm going to tell you what, it was pretty powerful. And I mean, they just said, this is what's going to be, this is the new future. And I don't want to make it sound like we're like the YMCA, but I'm just saying the branding is really important now. And to people to associate, whenever you say soft drink, what do you think of? What's the word, what comes to your mind, guys? I mean, so that's what it's all about. So with this it means that we're going to be taken to that next level, because what's going to happen is if we can bring that brand and people see Take Shape for Life, they're going to think of not just a weight loss company, but they're going to think of an optimal health company and what we have to offer. It's not going to be just like the Jenny Craig, because Jenny Craig is known as a weight loss company, right? So again, so that's what I see when we talk about this, what you're sharing here, and where this company is going and where they're going to take the rest of us with them.
Exactly. And I love, the word agent means, power to act. And that's what we are, agents of transformation. And my favorite, thing is, who are we for? We're for people who are ready to take personal responsibility for their optimal health in life. Do we know so many that are making excuses? We're not for them. We don't even want to even work with them, right? I mean, and so it gets us so much clearer about recognizing. Now, one of the things we want to learn is a skill to how to awaken. We'll talk a little bit more about that, learning how those skills, some of the advanced skills in terms of awakening someone's desire. But Cindy, do you have anything to chime in?
I just think this gives us so much clarity without emotion. It's very definitive. It's I could feel it. I really like it. It's straightforward to the point, and it's almost like something I could, like some mantra that I could just sit there and read and go, yeah, that's who we are today. And I love it. I think it's fabulous.
It gives you chills. So I will post this, and yes, I have a copy by my desk, and I think it's real important for us to, know who we are every day, and that way we can recognize who we want to work with. So there's two types of leadership styles, and one is transformational. All right. So as transformational, agents of transformation, we are moving people to a different relationship. Transformation is not about fixing or telling. It's leading people to grow. And that's not an easy thing to do, because as we're being more mindful, we've been talking about this for a long time, about, asking questions rather than telling. And everybody comes with a set of systemic thinking that in Dave Blanchard's book, he talks about systemic thinking, which is our tapes. It's our conditioning. We see the world through our eyes, through our conditioning. And everybody comes to the table with that. And so creating a transformation with someone is about, breaking down the walls, gaining trust, hearing them so that we can have an impact on their lives. And that's a pretty tall order. I think being a coach is not an easy thing to do, and learning to be a really good coach. I think that's what attracts me to it. Is I don't think you can ever say I've arrived at impacting someone's life. So we move them in, and we'll talk a little bit more about the skills. They created through this process 6 transformational habits that we want to develop. Again, I'm going to be really careful about introducing them and talking. They really wanted us to, because again, it's like, well, you can read a book on leadership, but that doesn't mean you absorb it. So I'd love to do, on Saturday, we're going to take one of the habits, and we're going to look at it a little bit more. And then if it goes over well, we'll do that with our team on Zoom, for those of you who aren't here. And then the next piece of it is the transactional piece. It's like, okay, how do we move people along? How do we track growth? How do we measure the metrics, the number of people we serve? Because the profits fuel our mission. And if you think about it, if a brand is not successful, if a company is not successful, well, they're not known in the world. It's only when they make a profit that they can be heard, and then they can do good in the world. And so when we're looking at growing as people, as leaders, we want to have that piece, that maybe softer skills of transforming, but we also want to look at the numbers. And we have not, some people go, and I was like this too. It's like, well, I you know what? I just want to help a few people. Don't tell me about a rank. Don't, and that is perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with that at all. It's a choice. But to the point that we want to grow and become more effective, we were given some tools for how do we measure our impact and move along. We say we want to help people, but are we actually measuring? How are we going to grow to become a very profitable business and a force for good in the world? All right, so These are the habits of transformational leadership. And as I say, we spent, hours on each one of these experientially, what that means to us. And I'm doing you a very big disservice by even telling you these, but, and I'm not going to post them because I'm explaining them here and now, but, and we'll take one at a time as we move forward, and we want to, see that this is where people want to go. We lead from the future, we act in the now. This was so incredibly powerful. It's taking Robert Fritz's structural dynamics that we do, and she just put a different spin on it. And I'm going to talk about that on Saturday. We'll go through an exercise that just totally got it for me. And so I want to, we'll do it, like I say, if it goes over well, I'll get some feedback from you guys on Saturday, and we'll do it next week on our Zoom call. We take responsibility. We play above the line. And again, we go through what this means. We seek growth. We embrace obstacles as the way. And again, that is so powerful. And again, it just requires, there's just an understanding about that. We seek growth. If we're always seeking growth, then we don't look, then the way that we see the world is different. And if we embrace obstacles, again, the world's different. And I'll go into this a little more later when, as we move forward a little bit. We connect authentically. We cultivate trust. Not build trust. Again, the words she uses are very important. We awaken potential. We transform masterfully. We deliver extraordinary results. And we serve to better mankind. So this is the thing we were given. Y'all probably give it. I will post it in Team Palace. This is a picture of what the Agents of Transformation, what our brand is. And if I can escape at all, does anyone have a clue how I can do this? Let's see. Aha. Are y'all watching me?
Susan, you want to stop your sharing your screen. So under options at the top.
I'm not seeing my options at the top. Thank you, Gay.
Do you have a little green tab at the top that at the very top?
How can I get rid of this? Let's see. I know. Let me see if I can get this down.
At the bottom, it says share screen. You see that at the bottom of your screen?
I don't see it at the bottom of my screen right now.
I think you need to minimize your screen. I think you maximize or something. You have to be able to see the thing on the edges, or hover over the edges, top and bottom.
All right, well, here's what I'm going to do. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, we're right at end. Okay. All right. This is I believe we've got this in our back office now. So this is called a map. So I don't want to scare anybody. If you want, in fact, if you want to leave on a good feeling as an agent of transfer, as a transformation agent, you can hang up now. If you want to look at some of the transactional things that we want to look at, this is what has been created. It's been worked on for about 18 months. And basically, it's a tracker. And what this allows us to do is go in our back office. Let's see if I can play around with this at all. So basically, whether you're going for the blended path, whether you're going to, look to make a rank by how many clients you want to serve, how many coaches you want. If you have a team, You're going to be looking at the, your team. Everyone fills one out, again, if you want to. And then you're going to, look in your office in motion. Your coach will help you do that. And just look at your B-Slims that are scheduled to come up. And go ahead and just record them. Not necessarily your people on maintenance or just buying a few things. So you want to put your full clients in there so that you'll have a little extra room, you'll play under. And this shows us, and again, the top 10 clients. I love this. Best practices every day, prioritizing, sharing the program. Lead with my health first. Am I moving forward with my health? I follow up with people. I know my story and I'm prepared to share it. Facebook posts, having mentor calls. And then this is your current reality. Again, following the structural tension. So it's not taking away anything. It's just getting a little more detailed. And then what you want to create. And then on the back, you have a contact worksheet. And so this every month, writing down contacts. And there's one that I printed out in the back office. There's a couple of them, in our new training guide. And that's been real helpful. I keep one list and, where I am. And, if I followed up with someone 3 times, then I know when the last time, I haven't even talked to them, in a month. So I'm going to follow, circle back around with them. So it's really great to have this list. And again, this has been used and practiced on. They're going to not introduce things until it's been practiced. So I will post this in Team Palace. I believe this is in your Office in Motion already.
May I ask a question, Susan?
Absolutely.
On that kind of tool, are those being integrated into the online training?
I'm sure it is. I'm just not sure how. If I didn't
Thank you.
see it, and I'm not sure how, we can go and look because someone found it. It's in our Office in Motion. I just don't know where.
I just really like the integrated training because it allows you to decipher when to use certain tools. How to implement those tools in a way based on where you are in the business. Obviously, this is a good tool to start at the beginning, but there's a lot of verbiage in the tool that a new health coach may not understand, which is fine. That's why you have a business mentor. But I was just curious because I think these are great things as long as we're actually implementing them in the process that we've established for health coach training.
Exactly. And I would think that it would be too much to introduce to someone right away. Maybe the contact sheet and who you're going to talk to. But I think there's other forms in the Office in Motion getting started that maybe would be more appropriate. I see that as more for people really wanting to move to executive director. Excuse me. Hey, JJ, turn it down, honey. So I think that I would say that as well. And I don't know, I might have shared this too soon, but I heard that it was in the Office in Motion, so I stuck it in today. But again, it will take looking at exactly where it is and how to introduce it. So I am kind of throwing it out there a little bit soon. But I wanted y'all to see that. So the transaction and transformation, the two types, improving our skills and leadership capabilities in both areas. And I think that's real. I thought that was pretty, cool. I hadn't thought about it like that. Any other questions? Do y'all like it? I loved it. It wasn't that so good. Like I say, I'd love to do something, and some of the exercises that we did because they were so profound. It took it, there are some experiences that we did. So I'd love to do that on a training on Saturday, like I say. And then I'll get some feedback from those of you that can be there on Saturday. And y'all can help me see how we can maybe do that in an online venue. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I first started, there was a lot of, okay, don't say Take Shape for Life right away. Just say that you're a health coach, and that you're working as a health coach, and you mention brands and names and products and things like that way after you get people interested in using you as a health coach. So now with this new branding thing, is that something that we will now be saying, hey, I'm a health coach with Take Shape for Life, like from the get-go, and kind of presenting the whole,
that is
you know what I'm saying?
great, Debbie, that's a great question. That is such a good question. I don't know the answer to that, except to say that will evolve, and that these things that I'm showing you are more for your internal. Like, they really did caution us not to throw things out, because again, you might get confused. So if you can take it, and they say, we certainly don't want to have someone, play above the line, or, if you're not, like, we want to be these things before we advertise these things. So if you can, Molly?
I'd like to respond to it, because I think yes, it is a great question, but let's play it out a little bit. So if you go out into the world and you say, I'm a health coach with Take Shape for Life, okay, what does that mean? Like, if nobody knows what Take Shape for Life really is, or what the brand is, that holds no validity. Do you understand? Once the brand is out and we're consistent with the brand, and the brand, in other words, my opinion is that it needs to come from the top down, so to speak, in a hierarchical kind of way. So when you put the brand out there, you get the clarity around the brand, then they start doing the marketing, because there is a difference between branding and marketing, and they start doing the marketing. Then when you say, I'm a health coach with Take Shape for Life, that's when it will have a connected meaning out in the world. Right now, one voice is not enough, which is what I think they're trying to address.
Absolutely. Very well said. Does that answer your question, Debbie, a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wasn't, I guess it wasn't quite clear to me. Does what they were just talking about with the branding and everything like that, does that mean that they're going to start trying to become much more visible? Like, I'd never even heard of Take Shape for Life before my sister got on the program, and then my mother got on the program, and then I tried a Meltdown Challenge. That's how I heard about Take Shape for Life. But I have heard of, and I've never used, Jenny Craig, and all these other brands I've heard of. So when I was hearing you talking about the branding, I was wondering, are they going to be moving in a direction of making ourselves a bigger, more visible name?
Yes, I believe so. And there will be marketing, there will be visual branding, there will be that whole piece coming. Yes. But for the meantime, let's kind of live it, breathe it, be it. And even without the words, we stand for it. Like, for example, right. Southwest. Every time you walk on a Southwest plane, there is a, kind of a friendliness and a happiness. It's a little bit of funniness. It's a little bit different than when you step on a Delta plane. And so if we can just start being and really getting the impact that we can make in the world, the visuals will come later, the campaigns. But yes, I believe that is there's no question that is the strategy, the plan.
Cool.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
This may sound like a completely disconnected question.
Okay.
But as a result of being intentional about the brand and having the marketing and the logo and so forth, and putting a higher level of attention to the brand and an intentionality to the brand, will that trickle down to who's eligible to become a health coach. And the reason I'm asking, right, is because if I'm going to go, for example, if I want a job at Google, or I want a job at Coca-Cola, or I want a job at, Apple, I don't know, one of the big players, they're not only looking for, talent and skill, but they're looking for somebody that represents their brand. So I'm just kind of putting that out there because.
Great, Molly. That's because, go ahead.
So I'm just curious if any of that was even brought up, because if we're going to put this much time, effort, money, resources, and intention into the brand, and we represent the brand, will there be a change in who can represent the brand? Or is there going to be a qualification for who can represent? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
I do.
I don't know.
That's an interesting question. And we did talk about who we are looking for in terms of coaches, and what qualities we're looking for. And I've got to say that people do, I don't want to say self-select, but I will say that when people don't have like people have a skill of selling, you may have a skill, but unless you have unless there's a certain kind of person that you are, you don't make it that far. So I don't know whether they're going to actually have that as I think that would be very cool. I know we certainly select, my biggest conflict is I think being a health coach would benefit this person. I think clients struggling on the program would so benefit by being a health coach. My problem is I don't want them to be a health coach. So do I offer it because I know it's in their best interest?
That's my question. I struggle with the same thing. I'm
conflict. I gotta tell you, right now I go with offering, and I'll tell you what, most of them say no because they don't want to help somebody else.
Right.
They like being in their own complaining, and they don't like helping somebody else.
It kind of resolves itself a bit. And the ones who say no and maybe shouldn't have don't really last long. But I'm just trying to wonder, I'm just kind of curious about, will the requirements for becoming a health coach change at all? I don't know.
I think that's really good. I love that. And again, I think that, like attracts like. And so I think as we be these things, then we will attract people like us, and we will look for people like us, and we will take ourselves more seriously, take our business more seriously.
Well, and it could be a matter of training. It could just be a training point, when you're training health coaches on how to build your team and being a little bit more intentional or specific about the type of person that represents the brand. That might be where they go with it. I
really like that a lot. That's true. We didn't talk about that, but I like that a lot. Kathy, did you raise your hand and then lower it?
I did. I raised my hand. Yeah. I just wanted to chime in on this as a new coach. Yeah. I think this is a really important discussion because it's something that I talked to Julie about just briefly, but it's been weighing on me a little bit with some people that I think would be really good at coaching, but maybe not the way we want to coach. So just chiming in to say I think this is really valuable discussion.
Oh, good, Kathy. Yeah, we'll talk to, I think let's keep having the discussion. I know what you mean, right?
Right, yeah. I like the what Molly and you have said, Susan, about attracting like-minded people and offering, but doing some self-selecting and being a little selective about the kind of people you want to work with.
Well, Dr. A, I'll get that list together. Dr. A put a list. He goes, you got to like them. If you do not like them, that is the one thing about running your own business. you just work with people that you like. And he gave some qualities that I hadn't really thought about what kind of people we want to work with. So thank you, Kath. Let me ask you as a new coach, and then I want to, was this overwhelming, more information than you needed, wanted? Tell me.
No, this was great. I actually work in a little bit of marketing and branding. I work for NASCAR and put together the NASCAR.com website. So we are always very, very aware of representing our entire sport and our company, and definitely very important things to take into consideration. And one of my favorite things, kind of along these same lines about the mission statement, was I think Molly also used the words disassociating, and I love that we're sort of acknowledging that there is a lot of deception out there and intentionally disassociating ourselves from that was fabulous to me.
Thank you, Kath. That's great feedback.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Gloria?
Hi, everyone. Susan, I just had a question as far as the content and the branding, and I really think that that's so critical, and I really appreciated seeing that tonight. But my question centers around, and it's something Debbie actually said, we're the best kept secret out there. So what is their communication strategy going to be once they've developed the brand? Because honestly, I did some research before I started the program, and there really was some disinformation that wasn't accurate about Take Shape for Life. So unless we get out there and let people know exactly what the program is, I think it makes it harder for the coaches to try and garner these people and to help them.
Well, that's so true, and I do not. Thank you for that, Gloria. I agree with you, and I don't know the next step of the strategy yet. Of course, it's coming, but this process took 9 months, so I'm sure it'll take a while. But yeah, that's a great point. Super. So I don't know the answer, but
okay.
You're absolutely right that if they did, to Molly's point, if they did put this much. God bless them. She is an expert, and this is a lot of just time and effort and money and resources to this process. And I am so grateful because you're right. So let's keep that conversation open. Okay. And if I, know anything, I will hear, but you're right. There is not good information out there.
Thank you.
Sure, Gloria. Anyone else? All right. Well, I can't wait. Cheryl, did you have something we wanted to say?
I was going to just let it go because it's getting late, but when you were talking about selecting the right types of folks to be coaches, one of the things that happens in corporate America when one goes through a branding process is one also elevates their talent acquisition to equate with that branding process, and it happens as a natural selection process. And so I think it'll happen on its own if the branding is done effectively and the communications plan is put in place.
Mm-hmm. And like I say, they did not.
The right people will want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is a pretty high standard. If we live from this place, it's a pretty high standard. And anyone who maybe doesn't think they can go there probably will not want to, right?
Right.
I think I do. So yeah, I don't know anything. They did not talk about any timeline for the communication strategy at all. It was more leadership training for ourselves. And so, like if we can own this and be this, and we'll talk a little bit more, like I say, I hope we can talk a little bit more about the different habits that we want to develop, because we're never going to be perfect, but we just develop habits, and it's a process and a practice.
One last question. Did they mention MetaFast?
I did.
Did they mention MetaFast at all?
They did not.
Okay, that's what the answer I was looking for.
I got wait. They did not.
Okay.
We were busy. We
Yeah.
it didn't even,
Yeah, well, that's kind of telling.
There's been a lot of things that are telling lately.
Yeah.
Well, it is really, like I say, I definitely felt very encouraged and very inspired and very excited about the future. We can really, and we can create it ourselves, which is what entrepreneurship's all about. So very cool. Thanks, you guys, for being on the call, for hanging out on the call, and for your feedback. Just shoot me emails or, on Facebook, or private message me and let me know any other concerns and questions you have, okay?
Great job.
Thanks, Susan.
Guys, good night.
Have a good week, guys.
Everyone.
See some of you Saturday.
Bye-bye.